I honestly cannot remember the last time I picked this camera up to film. It's a really nice day today, so we are going to carry on with some Astra wheel refurbishment. Let me just get in the shed because it's super bright outside. I'm using a different lens on my camera today and it's like really zoomed in, so I'm having to hold it really far away. But we're carrying on with the wheels. The wheels are currently right behind me in the shed. This is where I store them at night time. I'm going to take these back outside now, and the next step, if you've watched them so far, I'll just quickly explain. They have been like ground down. I used a grinder and all different types of wheels, all these. I got rid of all the paint using one of these weird wheel things. I then gave it a paint of etch primer. This yellow finish is actually filler primer. So what I need to do now is I need to wet sand this back. If there's any last imperfections in these wheels, I'm going to sort them out, and then hopefully today we will get a coat of silver on the front of these. I went to Halfords yesterday and picked up a few more supplies. I got some more grey primer because I was running out of that. I also bought some more filler primer just in case there's any more imperfections in the face of them. I can fill it up with some of that. And I also picked up, don't know if I'm going to need it or not, I also picked up some of this stuff. Dolphin glaze. It's like a filler, but it's an extra thin filler for, what does it say? Ultra fine finishing filler. So for any really tiny, minute marks, this stuff is really good for filling that. You can see it's sort of like it's like a Capri Sun. Do you remember those drinks? Sort of like that. You can feel how thin the liquid is inside it. I also grabbed myself a new tool for this because one of my subscribers actually gave me a really good idea. I think I showed you in the last video, in where the wheel bolts go in the wheels, there's like some loose old paint inside the, let me just show you, this will be easier, won't it? Inside there, right there, there's like some loose paint and some stuff that I want to get rid of. You can kind of see it in there. Bit of corrosion and stuff. And so what I've done is picked up one of these power tools. It's a rotary power tool. I got it on Amazon. It was like 20 quid or something like that, and it comes with all the bits that I need. It comes with the bits that I need to get inside those little holes to scrape them out. I think it's got some little sanding discs or something, so we'll use them to get rid of those holes. But essentially what I'm doing today is just more preparation. There's so much prep that goes into getting these wheels to be perfect. I've come this far now. I don't want to like skip the last few steps and then mess something up. So I'm just going to crack on and finish up this because it is very tedious. It's just me going to be wet sanding the whole thing, but I'll update you as I go, as I always do. So I'm going to go ahead and get the wheels back outside, back into the sun, into the light where I can see them better. Before I do that, I just want to show you one thing. I've had to put an old set of wheels on the Astra for now because potentially tomorrow, it's Monday as I'm filming this, but tomorrow being Tuesday, I'm actually going to look at a new car to replace the Focus with. So it's not going to be my car, but it is going to be a car on the channel and potentially a project. So I've had to put some old wheels on the Astra for now, which I had laying in my other shed, just so I can move it out of the way so that the new, I almost said what it was there, so the new car can be put on the drive, be fixed, and then the Astra, I can change the wheels on the Astra like on the side of the road or whatever I have to do, so that's not a problem. So I'm just going to quickly show you that. You can see it's on the ground. And what wheels are they? Ta-da! Pretty much the same wheels that were on it before I started this whole process, but they're 5-stud obviously. As you can see, I've got the brakes behind there, they look pretty good. These wheels are so tatty, look at the state of them. The one on the other side's a completely different colour, look. Sort of like in primer. But like I said, I've only stuck these on there for now, just so that if I need to, I can move it out of the drive and I can get the next car in so it can be worked on. Pretty awful, aren't they? Now, as I was, I'm going to get the wheels back outside and then we'll get some wet sanding done. You could already see, now that it's out in the sun, a few imperfections in this. There's one little niggle right there, there's a little bit here. The filler primer is cracked a tiny bit just on that edge. And so it's stuff like that I want to get out. So this whole wheel will get a wet sand, getting rid of any of these little imperfections. I think the other wheels have got a few as well, so this is just the final stages of prep. Right, there we go, there's all 4 wheels. I'm just going to show you a few more little issues. That's what I'm talking about inside the wheel, where the bolt goes. There's also a bit, you can't even see that, can you? Right there, just about, right there. Then the other ones have kind of got the same sort of issues, just little tiny imperfections in the wheel, which a little bit of a wet sanding should actually take care of. There's a little bit there as well. You can see that. So I'm going to get my sandpaper and some water, and I'm going to get to wet sand, and it's going to be fun. So the sandpaper of choice is just some 1000 grit. That's not too fine, but it's also not too coarse. It should be plenty to get through this high build primer, because it's actually quite soft stuff to sand. You don't have to go at it too hard. So this paper should be plenty enough just to get rid of these minor imperfections here. I'm also going to go ahead and just use some of the Yum Cars detail spray. Just spray that on just to add a little bit of lubrication for the sandpaper. We should be good to go. So I haven't actually been rubbing for very long, and as you can already see, I've gone through what was the, high build primer, already through to the grey primer underneath. The camera doesn't want to focus from it. I'm literally going to do that to all 4 wheels. I'm not going to bore you with a massive time lapse of me doing it. I'll bring you back once I've wet sanded all 4 of these wheels and got them fairly smooth. So I've literally done 1 wheel so far. My hand is covered in yellow. Probably should have worn gloves, but there we go. You probably can't even see me because the sun is so bright. But that took probably about 10 minutes to get it just right. I've been feeling over it with my hand and making sure that it's all smooth, and it actually feels really good. I'll just quickly show you if I actually can. You can see where I've had to go a bit harder in places than others, like round here. There's still a tiny little imperfection right there, little low spot. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, right there. And there's also a few around here. There's one tiny one right there, if you can see that one. There you go, that little dot. And there's a few little bits like that around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all 4, and then I'm probably going to have to hit them with just a little bit more of the filler primer just in these spots, like just here and just where I just showed you. I hit it with a couple of coats of that, and then wet sand again, just until they're perfect. I don't think that these are bad enough to warrant using that filler putty stuff. I don't think there's any point in opening that and mixing some up just for these tiny little spots. I think the filler primer will be just enough for that. Like I said, that was the worst wheel, I think, was this one. So these ones shouldn't be actually too bad. So I've actually gone ahead and quickly just changed up my lubrication for my wet sanding. I've now mixed up some Yum Cars detailing shampoo in some water in here. Sometimes I use fairy liquid, but I've been told, I can't remember what video I watched, but I heard that washing up liquid has salt in it or something like that. So they say to use car shampoo or something like that because it's much more lubricating than what fairy liquid is. So I've mixed some of that up, a little bit in a bottle. I'm going to crack on with the last 3 wheels. Right, so about half an hour later, and one dead arm. My arm is absolutely killing me. I've now wet sanded all 4 wheels, and they're looking pretty good, I'll be honest with you. There's only a few, probably count them on one hand, imperfections in these wheels now. Like I said, I'm going to dry them. I'm going to hit them with some more filler primer in just those few areas that need it, and let that dry. Wet sand again until they look as good as I can get them. I know a few of you will say, why didn't you use the filler that you bought, the really thin stuff? I just don't think there's any point with what is left to do on these wheels to open that. I'm going to save that for another project. I think I've got another painting project coming up soon anyway, so I'll save that for then. I'm just going to make do with the filler primer. It's pretty good stuff at filling in these little divots. They're probably half a mil deep, even if that, and you can barely feel them and you can barely see them. So filler primer should do that absolutely fine. I'll just give you a quick look at the wheels themselves just so you can see them. Here we go. I apologise, it's sunny, so make it a bit glary, but I've wet sanded the whole wheel, inside all these little divots and all sorts. Everywhere has been wet sanded. It's all now pretty much smooth, ready for the grey primer to go on top once I'm done. I'll just show you, there's like things like this. I don't know if the camera's going to even pick it up. Can you see those little dots right there? They're so tiny the filler primer will do them absolutely fine. If I just hit the primer in that spot, again, like that little niche right there, the filler primer will sort that one out. Where else is there? Not really anywhere on that wheel, but there's just lots of little bits like that. There's some more there, if you can see them as well. So I'm going to dry these off quickly with some paper towels, and then just hit them with some filler primer in the spots that need it. And we're getting there. We are actually getting there. They're starting to look pretty good. Right, so I've just gone around and sort of spotted in any of the low spots. I'll just quickly show you. They're drying really quick because it's sunny, but there was one here, sort of blended in with the yellow because it's obviously yellow in colour. But I've hit all the spots that I think I can see for now, and then I'm going to wet sand them back like I already did, and then I'm going to hit these with some grey primer as well. So after a few more hours of wet sanding, adding filler primer, wet sanding again, adding some more filler primer, I finally got the wheels to the point that I wanted them. It took me a good couple of hours to get them exactly where I wanted them, but they're at the point now where I'm happy with the results. I then went ahead and cleaned the wheels off, cleaned them with the prep wipe, heat gunned them down so that it's all dry. I have already hit them in the background with the first coat of grey primer. We're going to end this video once these are in full primer. I'm going to give them 3 coats. I've had one already, which was like a dust coat. I'm going to give them 2 fairly heavy coats, and then we are going to call these it for this video. And then in the last one, I know this has been longed out a little bit, in the last video we'll add the base coat and the lacquer, but the weather is just not quite right today to be doing lacquer. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it's cold and it's rainy and it's a little bit humid, and lacquer doesn't seem to do very well in those conditions, so I'm going to wait until we get a better day weather wise to do that. But I'm going to finish off with this primer now, 2 more coats on these, and then we can end the video up. Right, so that is the wheels, all with 3 coats on. If you can see that. I actually managed to do it with just one of these tins of paint. I don't know how. It's completely empty, but I managed to do all 3 coats with 1 can, which is kind of crazy. But this is how they're looking. They look actually really good. There's like no imperfections at all, apart from one tiny niggle just there, I think. And that is pretty much it. But for the rest of them, they are more than good enough to be going on my car for sure. Well happy with them. So that now leaves me to let this stuff dry. I'm going to leave it until probably tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a nice sunny day. I think it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow and fairly warm. So I'm going to come back out here tomorrow, hit these with the silver base coat, then the lacquer, and then they'll be officially done. And all I need to do then is stick some tyres on them, and these can finally go on the car. So that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's just more painting, more prep, but these things have got to be done, and I figured I'd film it because some of you might find it interesting. Some of you might learn a thing or two as well. So if you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe for future content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.